My name is Carrie. I'm the owner of Sift Yoga. Today I have for you a Hatha style practice. Now, in order to move through today's practice, there is a prop that I'd like for you to perhaps pause this video and go locate. I'd love for you to have a strap today. If you own a yoga strap, great. If not, there's lots of things around your house that you can be used as a strap. For instance, you might go look for a winter scarf, an old necktie, a kitchen towel, hand towel, like a longer towel, or even just like a jump rope. So just pause the video just for a moment and go locate yourself a strap. I can wait. All right, perfect. So you found a strap. Now we're gonna get started with the video and move through this Hatha practice. So today I'm seated up on a bolster. If you have a bolster, great, that's fine. Otherwise, just grab a pillow off the couch, that might work too. Or even a rolled blanket is a nice accessory, or even a block. All of those things you could have located when you found your strap. Okay, anyway, let's just go ahead and get started. We're gonna start with a nice tall spine. So sit up nice and tall. Let the crown of your head start to reach up towards the ceiling, almost as if you were a puppet, trying to keep the spine in nice, good lines. We'll drop our hands down, let them rest on the tops of our legs, drop the shoulders down from our ears, and just locate our breath. And when we first start to become aware of our breathing, we're gonna notice that it's probably a little bit shallow. But just by turning that attention to your actual breath, you'll start to find length in through the nose, and then back out as you release. In through the nose, back out when you release. Give yourself a little bit of time here just to breathe. Now, of course, if you're not comfortable here seated with a nice tall spine, you can, of course, switch up this first grounding pose. Maybe you would rather start standing or even reclined on your back, laying on the floor. Any of those options are perfect. These first couple moments are always about just giving yourself an opportunity to check in. When we're in the studio, we always have to give ourselves this space. And at home is no different. These opening moments of quiet allow us to assess how the body's physically feeling, seeing what emotions might come up just when we're quiet, and giving ourselves the space we need just to connect with the simple act of breathing. If you've been reclined on your back, start working your way up to find a seat. If you've been standing, work your way down towards the floor. On your next natural inhale breath, allow your hands to drop down off your lap, hanging off into space, and then just sigh to release. Inhale breath, nice tall spine, right ear starts to fall towards right shoulder, gentle stretch down the left side of the neck. Inhale breath, head comes back up over spine, take your time, let's go the other way. If you feel comfortable keeping your eyes closed, I encourage you to do so as much as possible today. Head coming back up over spine, let it go to the right again. This time your right hand might even come up and rest itself gently on the top of the head, just adding a tiny bit of pressure. Inhale, breath, head back up over spine, let the ear fall to opposite shoulder, hand comes up to rest on head. Inhale, breath, head comes back up over spine. Exhale just to release and relax those shoulders down. When you feel ready, big inhale breath, hands start to reach towards the ceiling, maybe even gaze up, look up. Exhale, hands down to heart. 2 more times just like this, continuing to connect with that breath, reaching for your edges as you inhale. Exhaling as this gracefully falls itself down towards your heart. 1 more time, big reach. Exhale, let these hands fall all the way to the chest. Moving hands to the fronts of the knees for flexion breath. Inhale, belly moves through the center, chin lifts up. Exhale, breath round the back, round the spine. 2 more just like that. Belly moves through the middle, heart opens, chin lifts. Exhale, breath round the back, round the spine. 1 more, belly moves through the middle. Exhale, breath round the back, round the spine. Inhale, breath, hands reach up, look up just as you've done before. Exhale, slide these hands down to heart. Inhale, lace the fingers together. Exhale, take your time, push these palms straight forward. Inhale, bring the hands back towards the heart. Hands start to peel around back, maybe looking for the low back, maybe lacing behind the back. Head lifts, chin lifts. Ease those hands back, let them walk back forward. And then we're just gonna kind of walk them both over here towards this right leg. Now my right hand is gonna move itself from this knee and start to reach for the wall behind me as I lift through the crown of my head for a tall spine. Inhale, walk these hands back to center, let them gradually walk over to that left side. Same thing, left hand spins around, starts to look for the wall behind. Spine is nice and tall. Inhale, start to bring hands back to center. Reach the hands up on the next natural inhale when it's ready. Right hand starts to look for the floor as the left hand peels over the top. Inhale, let these hands reach back up and then send them all the way over. Now we're going to add a new element this time. As you inhale, let this hand, right hand, move up and over the top. Left hand's going to follow and come down to look for the floor on this right side. Inhale, lifting up. And we're just going to kind of close the door. So hand comes down, opposite one reaches over, makes connection. Inhale, breath back up tall. One more time, let's do that same closing of the door. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, take it over. Inhale, reach up. Both hands tall. Exhale, bring them to the heart. All right, I think we've been seated long enough. Let's go ahead and move from our seat. If you've been sitting on a bolster like me, you can get this out of the way. And then we'll meet on hands and knees in a tabletop pose. Getting rid of that bolster, getting rid of the pillow or anything you've put underneath of you. We're going to start to look for a tabletop position. Wrists underneath the shoulders, knees ideally are right underneath those hips. And we'll take a couple cat-cows here, belly dropping down towards the floor on the inhale. And then rounding your back, rounding your spine on that exhale. Just a few more times at your own pace, belly dropping down on the inhale, chin might lift. Exhale, breath round the back, round the spine. Back to that tabletop position, holding here. We'll take the hips and start to lift them slightly up towards the ceiling and then back to place them on your heels. Take your first child's pose of this practice. Reaching those hands towards the front of the mat. Elbows might stay lifted up off the ground or they might drop themselves down into the earth. Forehead might rest on the mat, or if that doesn't work well for you this morning, you can always build a little tower here with your fists. You can keep your hips lifted a little bit and just let your forehead rest on those fists. If you have a yoga block, it can always be reached for and put onto the mat here in this pose as well. Any assistance that you might need as you're moving through the poses with me today, please feel free to take advantage of. On your next natural inhale, start to lift the chest back up and forward, moving hands. One little hand step in front of your traditional table. Curl the toes under, downward facing dog. When we look for our first downward dog, remember that you might need to move this around a little bit. Oftentimes, this isn't very comfortable to just pop right into. We need to bend the knees. We need to move the weight from foot to foot. We need to kind of push those hips back towards the wall behind us. Try to find length through our shoulders. Fingers are spread wide, but the hands are probably about shoulder distance apart. And just kind of play here with this downward facing dog shape. When you feel ready, knees are going to start to move back towards the ground, and as they do, we're going to step this right foot forward towards your right thumb. Taking yourself into a nice low lunge here. When the inhale breath feels ready, both hands lift up towards the ceiling, maybe even reaching up, gaze towards the sky. Exhale, let the arms expand open and take cactus shape. Inhale, find length. Exhale, find cactus. Inhale, find length. Exhale, find your cactus shape. Taking your time, hands will reach back up towards the ceiling. When you're ready, left hand comes to the inside of that right foot, down to the floor as the right hand reaches up to the sky. Now, of course, knowing the block can be added right here. This hand can continue to reach up through the fingertips, or it might start to slide around back, turning palm to face the wall behind you. Inhale, bring this hand back up nice and tall. Let it curl forward towards the floor. We're going to switch out our feet. Hands find position on the earth. Toes might curl under on this back foot. Put yourself back to down dog if that works, or drop to knees. Take a puppy pose or a child's pose and give yourself about 3 breaths. So whatever transitional pose you've chosen there, give yourself 2 more breaths in that shape. Knees start to move back towards ground. Left foot steps forward this time. Hands find comfort on the earth, taking our time to reposition this leg. And back knee, hands reach up on the inhale. Exhale, find your cactus shape. Inhale, length. Exhale, cactus. Inhale, length. Exhale, cactus. Inhale, stretching these hands up nice and tall. This time, right hand takes its time, coming down to the inside of this front foot. Knowing we can always add a block here, or you can use a book. Books are a good substitute for blocks. I've even seen people use cans of soup. You do what you gotta do, right, when we don't own the equipment. This hand is lifted up nice and high to the ceiling, feeling free to peel around back. This visual might be a little better. From this angle, you can see this hand kind of coming around, facing towards the outer back wall. All right, take your time. Let this hand sweep, lift, and then float back to the earth. We're going back to either child's pose, puppy pose, downward dog, whatever shape feels best to you this morning to get a couple more breaths in. I'm going to continue to walk out my down dog, pushing my hips towards that back wall. I might even kind of play around with ballerina toes, lifting up and then sending those heels towards the earth. They don't necessarily have to make contact, but if they do, great. On your next natural inhale, we're going to take that right knee to the ground again. This time, right foot starts to slide, so it's starting to point back behind us. Left foot moves onto its inside edge. I'm going to bring the right hand, even with my forehead, down here to the mat. My left hand's going to peel open as I take a modified side plank. Taking this left hand from the sky, start to point it towards the front of your mat, and then just let it sweep in a circular motion. Inhaling it up, exhaling to sweep over. Inhaling it up. Exhaling to sweep it over. Next time it's up to the sky, go ahead and pause there. Flex the toes on this back foot. See if we can lift the back leg up off the ground into a half moon, done here on our knees. Hand might even reach to get a little more length. Maybe we even choose to point through those toes. Lifting up out of my right wrist, not compressing down into the ground. I'll take my time, bring this foot back to earth. Now we're going to do something a little different here. Start to transition some weight to this right knee as your hands reach up towards the ceiling. And then you're just going to spin this left foot until your left knee is bent and your arms stretched long and wide, warrior two. Gazing over this left hand. Taking your left hand, flip it towards the ceiling, reverse. Back to your warrior two, side angle, elbow moves towards knee, right hand reaches up and over the top. Inhale, bring this back to warrior two, take the dance again on your knee. Now if this is causing issues with the knees, you don't like being on the floor, you certainly can get up off the earth and give yourself 2 or 3 of these in a standing posture. Last one. Back to that warrior two. Cartwheel these hands forward towards the ground. Take this foot, turn it to its side. Give yourself just a little moment here, and then we'll start to walk our hands back towards the front of the mat. Toes will curl under, get up off that knee, give it a break. Walk this out a little bit in your downward facing dog. Now if vinyasa is part of your practice, this is certainly somewhere it can go. If you'd like to shift some weight into your hands, making a plank pose or plank on your knees, feel free. Maybe you exhale with that Chaturanga down towards the earth to upward facing dog or just a baby cobra, and then transitioning back up to that down dog. Now you can always skip those. This isn't really flow. I just thought if you like that style and you want that in your practice this morning, there you go. Opposite knee drops down to the earth. Spin these toes till they face to the side. We've got this back foot kind of flipped. Now it's parallel with the side of the mat. I'm going to move my left arm this time even with about my forehead. Open this right hand up towards the ceiling. Give yourself a modified side plank. Flexing that back foot will lift perhaps into that half moon shape. Gaze can be at the floor, straight forward. And you might find one side's a little easier than the other. Foot might come down to earth, or you can hold that shape. Top hand starts to make its circular motion. Perfect. Next time we get back up here to the top, we're going to start to change this other foot. Lifting up through our chest and forming the warrior two on this side. So same thing here. We've got a nice bend in this knee, ideally knee and ankle or talking to one another, nice straight line. Reaching out over this right hand, left arm stretched straight back behind us. Flip the right hand, take reverse warrior, leaning away from that front hip. Back to your warrior two, elbow comes and makes connection, left hand reaches up and over. Just a few more, just like that, taking your time. Remembering that if you want to pop up to a traditional warrior two here and stand, feel free. Perfect, we'll bring this back to warrior two. Hands start to look for the earth. This leg goes long, just to walk out that hip just for a moment. Then hands start to walk back slowly towards the front of the mat. Toes curl under, hips lift up, downward facing dog. Vinyasa can be inserted here, taking your time. Plank pose perhaps. Exhaling chaturanga, moving through up dog. And then perhaps to that downward facing dog. Now you don't have to put that in there. Remember, you can just be hanging out here, or here, or here. One of the best parts about doing yoga at home is that you can decide what works for you and not have to feel any kind of pressure to go into any shape you don't want to do, because nobody's around to see you. But in the studio, we have that same attitude. You know what? You make this practice yours. You never have to feel pressure to match the neighbors in the room. All right, when you feel ready, we're gonna take our time. Knees are gonna drop down towards the mat. And then we're gonna lower all the way to our bellies. And when you get to your belly, I want you to get comfortable here. So I'm gonna have to move around on my mat here a little bit. And then I want you to look for your strap. You might need this, some of you maybe not. But we're just gonna move ourselves down to the floor. Open the strap if we need it, keep it handy. And then lay here on your belly. Give yourself a little pillow with your forehead, for your forehead rather. Bending your knees, flexing your feet maybe up to the ceiling, letting these feet kind of windshield wiper a little bit side to side to reset the back. And then we're gonna point through our right toes, and start to reach back with our left hand to make connection for the top of that foot. Now, if you can make this connection, great. If you can't quite get a good grab there, an option for you might be to take this strap back. Some of us sometimes have to roll around a little bit to get it in the right place. And then use the strap somewhere on the ankle or on the thigh in order to reach and hold on. Side starts to feel complete. Let go with the hand if you've been using a strap. I'll reach for that so that we can move it over to the other side. Give yourself a chance to reset, maybe windshield wiper in between. Straighten the opposite leg, start reaching back with this hand to try to make some connection with the top of that foot. Keeping this knee in nice and close to the body, ideally. We don't want to let it splay out to the side. Now remember, just as you did before, I know it feels kind of awkward to try to get this in the right, but slowly pulling this knee up the mat a little bit. Reaching that strap maybe around the top of the foot. And then just put yourself back on your belly. Wrap this around your hand until you get some comfort, and then bend at the knee. Now, if this works for you, use the strap. If you don't need the strap, you of course can let go, grabbing on the outer edge of the foot, hugging that heel towards the glute, rest here, and a few more breaths. Your head might turn to the side, it might face straight down, whatever feels best to you as you relax into this shape. As the body feels ready, releasing that hand from the foot, reaching for the strap if it's been in the way, walking the hands back forward. We'll start to bring the hands back underneath the heart, curling toes under perhaps, putting some weight into the hands, pulling these elbows nice and close. Bring yourself up to hands and knees. And then just start to walk the feet a little more forward towards your wrists so that you can start to find a seated posture. Now our seated poses are going to be kind of minimum here, but keeping the strap nearby will be helpful. Legs will go nice and long. We're going to take a seated forward fold. Now for some of you, you might feel better taking this strap and putting it underneath the bottoms of your feet. Lifting up through a nice tall spine, crown of the head lifts towards the ceiling, and then just take your time to hinge at the hip creases and fold towards your toes. And you can continue to wrap the hands around the strap, keeping some tension there in the arms, putting that weight on the bottoms of the feet. Just a nice opener for the back sides of the legs. Again, my spine is nice and tall. I'm trying to keep pulling through the top of my head as I extend my forehead towards my toes. Big inhale breath. I start to release from this shape. Let the strap go calm. Feet start to walk in towards one another. Take yourself into bound angle. Maybe walking the sits bones out from underneath of you, getting back into that nice tall spine. My feet are touching one another. My knees are out to the side. Now, if you feel when you sit here, you've got a big rounded back and you're really holding on tight to your feet in order to stay in a good pose, you might need to reach for the blanket or the block to put underneath the back little tip of your tail there. But if you're feeling okay here, then great. You might revisit something that's going on in your neck or your upper back or your shoulders with a little bit of movement through the chin towards the chest. And then when your body feels ready, hands will start to look for the outer edges of the knees. Start standing those up with your hands, and then you're going to head back to your back. So you've got your strap handy. Go ahead and strap your right foot as you start to head backwards. And what that means is we're just going to take the strap and put it right here across the arch of the foot. Reclining ourselves backwards onto the mat. Right foot extends up towards the ceiling. Now you can hold on to this strap however feels best to you. It might be a two-hand grip, it might be a one-hand grip. You might have a bent elbow. I personally like one hand nice and long so that my other arm can just completely relax. This shape might be best for you with a bent knee, or you might decide that you want something that looks like a pair of scissors. Feel free to move into that shape if that's more your style. And using the breath to find a little length here, and then the exhale breath to find the release. So we're not yanking, we're not bouncing this leg around, we're just trying to put some even pressure up through the heel, letting the backside edges of this leg have a chance to open. Now, if this feels nice for you to let your foot fall towards the outer edge of your mat, maybe keeping this opposite hand over here on the other hip, feel free. Today, that's not really working for me. I feel like I'm falling into that pose. So if you want to do that shape, you certainly can. We'll hold here just for a few more breaths. When you feel ready, that foot's going to start to move back up towards the ceiling. And then it might take itself just slightly across the midline. We're thinking about all these muscles that move down the outer edge of that leg, the IT band, into that outer hip. Being kind there though, because that can be a really big stretch for some of us. So if it just feels too irritating, back off a little bit. Eyes are closed, back is rested comfortably on the earth. And then just ease that foot back to center. And we'll slowly start to lower it down towards the earth. Letting the hands just kind of slide in the strap. Once the leg has been long, it might feel nice to even reach both hands up over your head. Make a nice long body spine. start to reach for the strap again, switching out our legs. This time the left foot going into the strap, extending itself up towards the ceiling. Flex foot, nice long length to the back side of that leg. Shoulders down from ears, tension in the strap. Eyes might be closed as you reach with the heel of the foot up towards the ceiling, just giving yourself a little more length out of the back side of that leg, knowing that your right knee can be bent, or if you feel more comfortable going into a deeper shape, maybe a scissor shape, know that's always an option. Depending on how often you've been on the mat lately, that might be too much. That's okay. If this foot wants to move out towards the side, feel free to let it gradually falling. I got the wall on this side, so I might go just until I can touch the wall. Opposite hand might hang out on this hip. Or remember, if that shape doesn't really work for you this morning or this afternoon or this evening, whenever you're viewing this video, feel free to just walk that foot back up towards the sky. If your foot has been out to the side, start moving it back towards center. Then we're going to take it just slightly across the midline like we did before. IT band stretch. You can tell it's been a little bit since I've done this stretch. My IT bands feel pretty tight today. So when things start to get loud, when you start to really hear your body talking to you, take their advice as to whether you should kind of back off a little bit. Might need to even soften through the knee for a moment, reset. And then when you're ready, that foot moves itself back to center, and then we just let this hand, again, slide in the strap all the way until this foot gets long. Now once that foot goes to the earth, we're finished with our strap, so you kind of just ball that off, sit it up to the side. Maybe hands reach up and over the head again. A long body stretch. You might even point through both of your toes, both of your legs this time. And then I'm going to give you options for your final poses today. You can take yourself into bent knees. Maybe arms come off to the side into a cactus shape, and you give yourself a couple twists or windshield wipers side to side. Depending on how the spine feels today, you might decide you want a little more or a little less. It might feel nice to hug a knee into the chest, roll around the ankle. Take a few more of those reclined poses that often find themselves to the earlier part of the practice. Today we can put them at the end. Whatever shapes feel best to you as you start to settle yourself down into the earth, we'll start to think about the final stages of this morning or this afternoon or this evening's practice, our Savasana. Heels moving down towards the earth, taking your time to find the length through those legs, and then just gradually allow the toes to roll towards the outer edges of the mat. It might even feel nice to place the back of the head down into the ground, get a little lift of the shoulders, settle those shoulder blades out from underneath. Hands can rest at belly, palms slip to ceiling. And just start to find your breath. Allowing each inhale to bring in a sense of peace, and each exhale to release. Thinking back through those simple words, peace and release. Peace starting to bring a little bit of movement back into the body, bending the knees, walking them in a little closer to you. Hands might even move towards the fronts of the shins to hug those knees tight into the chest if that shape feels okay. Or maybe you just windshield wiper those knees with the feet flat to the earth. As the body feels ready, you might roll yourself onto your right hand side, bringing right arm to serve as a pillow. You can rest in a side lying savasana for a few breaths if you'd like, kind of curling those knees in nice and tight. Transitioning whenever you feel ready, back up to your seat. And we'll close out this practice together. For those of you who would like to attend our classes live in person at SIFT, you know that I like to read, and there's always a little reading, some little wisdom to take with you throughout the rest of your day. Today's reading comes from the book called The Daily Book of Positive Quotations. Today's reading is entitled Doing Our Best. I have done my best. That's about all the philosophy of living one needs. We don't always do our best. Sometimes we rush through an unpleasant task, putting in a half-hearted effort on a menial task, or fail to finish a task we weren't required to do. We know when we're not doing our best, and it tends to make us feel bad. Our lives are very complicated. Maybe we can't always do things perfectly, but we can try to do our best, even if we're the only ones who know it. I may not always be able to do things as well as I would like, but I can still try to do the best I can, given the time and priorities I have. Doing our best. I greatly appreciate you finding this time for yourself, not only for your physical body to come and move alongside me in the comfort of your home, but also making that space for your mind to have a chance to sift, to let everything settle back into place. May you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you again. Namaste.